Have you ever walked into a room and felt heavy, for no reason? Sat next to someone and left feeling drained, even though they said nothing unkind? This isn't your imagination. You're absorbing what they're carrying. Their restlessness, their unspoken frustration, their inner chaos. Your nervous system feels it before your thoughts can name it. But here's the truth. You are not meant to carry what doesn't belong to you. Buddhist teachings remind us that peace begins by protecting your inner space. Not with walls, but with awareness. And awareness begins right now. Negative energy doesn't need words. It lives in glances, in tone, in silence. And if you're an open, sensitive soul, it slips in quietly. You begin to carry anxiety that isn't yours, sadness that didn't start with you. Over time, you begin to believe it's your own. But Buddhism teaches, when you do not guard your mind, the world will plant its seeds. The practice is not to fight others' energy. It's to recognize what's yours and what's not. Peace is not passive. It is a discipline of clarity. Maybe no one ever taught you how to set spiritual boundaries. Maybe you thought being kind meant being open to everything. But energy is real. And some presences don't need to speak to pull you off center. Buddhist wisdom doesn't tell you to harden. It tells you to anchor. If this message is touching something inside you, stay with me, because what you'll hear next may forever change how you move through heavy spaces without carrying them home. You are not a sponge. You are a mirror, meant to reflect, not retain. When you unconsciously absorb negativity, it's often because you confuse empathy with responsibility. You feel their suffering, and you believe you must fix it. But Buddhism teaches, compassion does not mean carrying another's karma. It means remaining present without merging. You can care without becoming consumed. You can love without losing your stillness. Your peace is not weak. It is sacred, and it must be protected with the same gentleness that you offer others. Ask yourself, how often do you scan the room to manage others' emotions, while ignoring the tension rising in your own body? This is how we lose ourselves, not all at once, but breath by breath. Buddhism calls this leaking consciousness, where your awareness leaves the present moment and pours into places it doesn't belong. You must bring it back, gently, firmly, fully. Silence is your first shield. When others speak with anger, sit with breath. When energy rises around you, ground yourself below it. You don't need to react to protect yourself. You need to return to your breath, to your body, to your truth. What disturbs you can only enter you if you open the door. And mindfulness is that closed door, that sacred pause, that moment where you say, this energy is not mine, and I do not accept it. Most people walk through the world unconsciously radiating their inner state. Some radiate peace, some radiate pain. And if you are awake, if your heart is open, you will feel it. But feeling does not mean fusing. Buddhism teaches that your awareness is like water. It can reflect the sky without becoming the storm. You must practice being near emotion without drowning in it. That is where true compassion lives, not in absorbing, but in witnessing without collapse. When someone's energy overwhelms you, pause. Place one hand on your chest. Inhale slowly, as if drawing your awareness back into your body. Exhale with the quiet intention, I return to myself. You do not owe anyone your emotional bandwidth, especially those who throw their chaos at others instead of facing it within. This is not judgment, it's discernment. And discernment is a spiritual practice, one that protects your presence from being hijacked by someone else's pain. Imagine your presence like a still lake. When others throw stones, you do not need to ripple in response. Let the stones sink. Let the silence remain. Your peace does not depend on others behaving better. It depends on you remembering who you are. You were not born to absorb. You were born to remain, unmoved by projection, rooted in clarity, aligned with the breath beneath the noise. People may call you too sensitive, but sensitivity is not weakness. It is awareness turned inward. The problem is not that you feel deeply. The problem is that no one showed you how to protect that depth. Buddhism offers a path, not to numb, but to center, to create space between stimulus and self, to sense without soaking. You can walk through a storm and stay dry if your inner shelter is strong. Negativity thrives where there is no boundary. And many of us were taught that boundaries are unkind. But Buddhist wisdom teaches otherwise. Boundaries are not walls. They are gates of intention. You decide what enters. You decide what stays. You decide what echoes. When you set energetic boundaries, you're not shutting people out. You're keeping yourself in. Ask yourself, who drains you most often? Is it a person or a pattern? Sometimes it's not their words, but the role you play. The fixer, the pleaser, the absorber. Buddhist practice invites you to drop the role, to just be still, silent, centered, not performing, not rescuing, not resisting. In that space, you return to truth. And truth never asks you to suffer to be spiritual. You are not obligated to hold what others refuse to heal. If someone chooses to project their pain instead of process it, that is their path, not your prison. Buddhism teaches us to walk beside others, not to carry them. Compassion says, I see your suffering. Attachment says, I'll suffer with you. Only one of those leads to peace. You must learn to sit with others' pain, without making it your own. Your mind absorbs less when your breath is deep. This is not metaphor, it is biology and spirit. When you feel negativity rising around you, return to the breath. Feel the exhale soften your chest. Feel the inhale remind you, I am here, not in their story, not in their storm. Here, breath by breath, you reclaim your inner field, and what once overwhelmed you now passes like wind through leaves. There will always be noise around you. What matters is the silence within you. This silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of awareness, a stillness that watches, listens, and remains untouched. You cultivate it not by avoiding the world, but by anchoring in truth. That truth is simple. You do not need to absorb everything to be loving. You do not need to carry everything to be kind. You only need to stay with yourself, fully, faithfully, firmly. When someone brings heavy energy into the room, remember, you don't have to match it. You can choose to stay slow, soft, still. Let them rush. Let them tighten, let them spill. But you, stay spacious, like the sky that holds the storm without becoming it. Buddhism reminds us, the real practice is not to avoid difficult people. It's to remain yourself in their presence, not defensive, not reactive, just deeply rooted. Peace is not a performance, it's a practice, and every moment you remain grounded while chaos swirls, you're building spiritual strength. This strength is quiet. It doesn't fight, but it doesn't flinch. It doesn't absorb, but it sees everything. In Buddhism, we call this equanimity, a state where you care deeply but stay unshaken. And when you live from that place, others feel your presence shift theirs. There is a kind of wisdom that cannot be learned in books, only in silence. When you stop absorbing, you start observing. You notice the patterns, the projections, the pain that's not yours, and you release it, not with anger, but with awareness. That's the freedom Buddhism offers, to live in the world without becoming it, to walk through noise without losing your center, to offer presence without losing peace. Energy moves, and you are allowed to choose what enters. You are not a victim of energy. You are a curator of your own internal landscape. Each day, you choose. Take in the noise, or deepen your stillness. Let it stick, or let it pass. This is not detachment. It's devotion to your clarity, your calm, your sacred space within. You are not here to carry everyone's chaos. You are here to return to your breath again and again until peace is no longer something you seek, but something you become. So next time the world feels heavy, pause, breathe, say quietly, this energy is not mine. I release it. And watch what happens. Now tell me, what's one kind of energy you're finally ready to stop absorbing?